Welcome. I'm Annie Peters, President and CEO of the Association of Animal Assisted Intervention Professionals. I'm here today with Mary Margaret Callahan. We're here today to talk to teachers, school counselors, administrators, social workers, librarians, behavior specialists, and other school-based professionals about integrating a therapy animal into your school setting. Whether you're just getting started or whether you're growing an existing therapy animal program, we're going to answer your most pressing questions. By the end of this video, you'll know what paperwork and permissions you need to get started, how to protect your students and your animal, and we'll even tell you how to get approval from your administration. I'm delighted to turn it over now to Mary Margaret, and she's going to tell you more.
Thanks, Annie. My name's Mary Margaret Callahan. I'm the Director of Education, Standards, and Certification for AAAIP. I started my career actually as a classroom teacher. I taught in both middle school and high school. So I have been in your shoes. I know what you're facing. I know that you're committed to finding creative and new ways to reach your students. And I also know how busy your classroom is, and I understand what it's like to work with a school administration. The fact that you're here watching this at all is a testament to your professionalism and your commitment. Thank you for knowing that there is a level of knowledge that you need to do this professionally, to do this responsibly, to be ethically incorporating an animal into your school setting. It's interesting that in the world that involves pets, a lot of people assume if you've had pets, you sort of just inherently understand things about that. And while that may be true if you're a dog owner or a cat owner, when you're talking about bringing that pet into a work situation like your school or your classroom, it takes a little more than just knowing your pet. You wouldn't choose a dentist, let's say, because they'd had teeth most of their life. And yet, a lot of people will say, I've had pets most of my life. I probably can do this. So thanks for being here. We're going to try and get through the key concepts, and we just want you to know that AAAIP is here to support you.
Absolutely. Mary Margaret, tell everyone a little bit about animal-assisted interventions and how it actually exists as a field, as a discipline.
So animal-assisted interventions is a huge umbrella. And that's one of the things that can be both really exciting about it, but maybe also a little confusing if that's a new term to you. So if you're interested or you've read about people bringing a therapy animal in for stress relief, maybe around exam times, or maybe you've read about reading programs for children reading to therapy dogs and how that can enhance literacy goals, or maybe even you are someone who's a school psychologist or counselor, and you have read some of the research coming out of that field that says therapy animals can help with social emotional regulation. All these things are part of that AAI umbrella. And so there's lots of different ways you can think about incorporating an animal into your school setting. And chances are, whether they have specific goals or whether it's for broader social emotional well-being, it's considered AAI.
Absolutely. So whether you're a school teacher who has just heard amazing stories about what the environment is like and how wonderful the day can be for the students if there's a dog in the classroom and you want to do this too, or whether you're perhaps a school-based occupational therapist and you know a lot about dog training, but you don't know exactly how to integrate the animal into your professional day-to-day work with the children, we created the Association of Animal Assisted Intervention Professionals for you. You might hear us refer to it as AAAIP, but that's AAAIP. So whatever gap you may have in your background as you approach this meaningful and rewarding work, we have the skills, the information, the education to help you fill those gaps. Let me just tell you one story about why this is so important. We have a colleague who was giving a talk and was talking about how to integrate an animal into your professional practice. The audience was very engaged and very interested, and what we thought would have been very knowledgeable. At the end of the talk, one of the attendees approached our colleague and said, "I have a question. Every time I start getting ready to take my dog to work, my dog starts throwing up. What should I do?" And our colleague said, "Stop taking your dog to work." So there's animal welfare considerations, as well as student welfare considerations, as well as just the professional gains to be made in the classroom. And AAAIP is here to help you navigate this new world.
I'll just add that while we are speaking broadly to a wide range of professionals in a school based setting, whether you're a speech language pathologist or the librarian or a classroom teacher, I'm just going to broadly use the term educator going forward, just so we know it's really truly inclusive of anyone who's in any school based sort of role. And I also want you to know if you don't already have a dog that you think would be great for this work, that's okay. This is still for you. You may be preparing to add a pet to your household and maybe hoping that they have the capacity to do this kind of work. It's still a great time to get this information. It may sort of inform some of the activities that you do and the training you do when you add a new puppy to your household.
Absolutely. And you may be at a school where there are already volunteer therapy animal teams coming into your school. So you have a sense of some of the work that can be done partnering with a volunteer. My favorite example is when we start to talk about reading and students that are struggling to learn how to read. There's enough research around reading and therapy animals that we know a struggling reader can make greater gains in proficiency reading to a therapy animal than they can through traditional intervention methods. Mary Margaret, with your background as a former teacher and your knowledge of animal assisted interventions, give a few other examples to our listeners today about how they might think about integrating therapy animals into their day.
I mean, there's so many different ways, and reading is a key one. But let's say you're a math teacher like I was. I was a math teacher for 10 years. I can think of a whole bunch of fun ways to incorporate an animal into my math lesson. Having to do a lesson on estimation. How about you estimate the difference between the number of steps a kid has to take to cross the playground versus your dog? Or, gosh, haven't we all struggled to teach ratios at some point in time or the other? There's all sorts of interesting things you can do. You know that the width of your arm span is roughly the height. Are there ratios like that on a dog that correlate to how long their tail is and how long their body is? Sounds like you could do some measuring and check that out. But maybe you teach language arts and you're doing creative writing. What a fun prompt to write from the point of view of the dog in the school. Or maybe you like to teach science. There's all sorts of biology and physiology things you could do. Heart rate comparisons between different kinds of mammals. That sounds pretty cool to me. And maybe you're really more thinking about wanting to make some gains in pro-social skills, right? Or leadership opportunities, that having someone who's in charge of helping get the dog leashed up for walks when you go out to the playground, who can help do some of those things, and having a dog bridge the gap between children who maybe are struggling to connect with their peers and in the classroom. Lots of different opportunities out there. Don't think just because you haven't read about it, it couldn't become an animal assisted intervention activity. It certainly could.
Absolutely. And educational programming around pro-social behaviors, anti-bullying. There's so much opportunity for integrating an animal into whatever work you're doing. So, okay, we get it. You're listening. You're excited. You either want to get started, you want to bring already a pet that you have at home that you think might be a good candidate. You want to get a pet and work with that pet and build that relationship so that you can do this, or you want to take your existing program to the next level. We've made it easy for you to do that. At the Association of Animal Assisted Professionals, we have coursework for you that we call the Tools for Schools bundle. And it's 3 courses for the price of 2, designed specifically for you in a school setting. And at the end of each course, you'll even get a certificate of completion that you can take to your administration to show that you're knowledgeable and you're committed to the best practices. Mary Margaret, tell us a little bit more about what's in the Tools for Schools bundle.
Well, I will say one of our most popular classes, and one that I wish I had had, was the Getting Started in AAI course. So you know that there are all sorts of things you have to do to bring a new program or take a field trip, all these things in a classroom setting. Imagine a course that provides you with more than a dozen templates for all the paperwork and things you're going to need to build your program binder, right? What do the permission slips look like? What do behavior contracts with kids interacting with dogs look like? What are the records you need to keep about a dog being in your classroom? All these things are going to help you get buy-in from your parents, the administration, and other key stakeholders so that they know that you're doing best practices to do this safely and ethically. So it's a great, great place to start and will help sort of turbocharge you getting your program off the ground. There's considerations like how you arrange your physical space in the classroom and lots about risk management, because we know that's a priority that your administration's simply going to ask you about. Another great course that is really more about you and your animal and your connection together is our training and communication module. So, training and communication is going to go over some of those foundational concepts about therapy animals and their behavior. You're going to have an understanding of the expectations that are needed for training a therapy dog, or maybe a different species. Dogs certainly are most prominent, but maybe you're planning to work with something else. Still covered here. We're going to talk about training methodologies and some of the appropriateness of those training methodologies specifically for therapy animals, because the key thing here is just having a dog who is so trained to do everything doesn't necessarily make them great for AAI. So learn about why an animal needs to freely communicate with you while you're doing therapy animal work in order to be safe and successful.
Absolutely. So those are the first two classes. And before I tell you about the bonus class, I just want to take a moment, and this is very important, take a moment to talk about animal welfare. These animals are sentient beings, and they deserve our respect and recognition of their desires and what they want to do. Chances are, if you're already doing therapy animal work in your classroom and you're bringing your dog to school every day, there's a good chance that's too much. Or if you're getting ready to go out the door and your dog is showing you signs that they don't want to go today, they don't feel like it. What are you going to do then when your students were looking forward to the class, the dog being in school that day with you? The third course is called The Case for Animal Related Engagement, ARE, and it's how to use the inspiration of the animals, the emotion we feel around the animals, to still I'll say to capitalize on the wonderful connection we have with these animals, to still have those lesson plans be meaning and valuable, even on the days that the dog didn't feel like coming to school with you. So, Mary Margaret, I want to do this. Where do I go to find the Tools for Schools bundle?
Well, we're excited, and you should be too, because there's so much opportunity here. I want to invite everyone to go to AAAIPonline.org. You're going to look for our Tools for Schools course bundle, and then you're going to click Buy Course, and we're going to get you set up with 3 amazing courses that are going to help you take your burgeoning therapy animal program to the next level.
Thank you. And you'll have all the information you need to get started, to practice safely and effectively. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't need to be. The course bundle is a simple click purchase. You can do it at your own pace, at your own leisure. Come back to it as you digest the information and learn more about this important and exciting field. And most of all, you don't have to do it alone. You and your pet don't have to do it alone. Any final words?
The fact that you're already here watching this tells me that you are a committed professional educator, right? And you know that your program, your students, your school deserves more than just a trial and error approach to what's going to be successful in meeting your educational goals. That's why we're here. You don't need to guess. So we're going to make this easy for you. Taking these classes is going to make you an even better teacher. It's going to improve the relationship you have with your pet. And it's going to make this activity that you're going to share with your animal and your students even more fulfilling. So get online, go check out those courses. And if you have questions, AAAIP is always there for you.
Okay, one more time. The website address again is
AAAIPonline.org. And then search for the Tools for Schools course bundle.
All right. Thank you, Mary Margaret. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you to all our educators for all you do.